Hey, que Pasa Calexico? Welcome back to the podcast. Like always, before we begin, I want to thank a couple of people. I want to thank my friend Sergio Armenta for being a sponsor of the podcast. Thank you for sponsoring the podcast. I also want to thank David Gastelum. If you're thinking of buying or selling a home in the Imperial or San Diego counties, make sure you contact David. His phone number is 760-235-9576. He's not only a realtor, but an investor with over 20 years of experience. So he'll help you along the way in one of the most important purchases you'll make in your life. I also want to thank everybody out there that's, an essential worker. I want to thank our nurses, police officers, firemen, people stocking our supermarkets, everybody that's putting, their life out there for us to have a normal life as much as possible. I also want to remind everybody that, the Imperial Valley has a really high number of cases. The CDC just sent 5 people over to the valley to help us out. So that, once the CDC gets involved, it's something serious. So I want to remind everybody to please stay home. A lot of our local businesses are struggling because they can't open, and it's because of the number of cases we have here in the valley. And we really want to help them out. So please stay home, wash your hands. If you need to go out, make sure you're wearing a face mask. Really, really need to pitch in. Everybody needs to pitch in so that we can get a little bit back to normality. And not only that, but, this is a serious disease. People are dying. I think from a couple of days from one day to a couple of days, we lost 21 people here in the valley. So let's make sure to, put in our part. I know it's been a while that we've been, at home and trying to fight this virus, but, it is what it is, and we just need to deal with it as much as we can. And staying at home is the best thing we can do right now. So please make sure you stay home, wash your hands, and wear your face mask if you need to go out. Today's guest is a returning guest. I interviewed him back in episode 15. He was running for Calexico City Council back then, and now he was voted into the Calexico City Council. Camilo Garcia, thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Jose. Thank you for having me back. It's almost has been almost 2 years.
It's crazy, huh?
Back in 2018 when I was running for the city council, and I know that you and I, back then we were barely meeting. Also, even though we had some, people in common that we knew, and that, it was great. Back then, being in your show, and I know earlier we were talking about podcast versus a show. I see it as a show, and you said you've done such a wonderful job, and you have grown, over this, a year and a half to almost 2 years. And I continue to listen to your podcast, and you have had, a great number of people and topics, that you get into. So yeah, keep it up, and thank you for having me, and thank you, for giving me this opportunity to talk to, share this space with you, and talk to your listeners, and especially here in Calexico and throughout the valley and worldwide, wherever this goes. And I know we go worldwide, through the internet. So great, thank you.
Yeah. Back then was episode 15. Now it's episode 93, I think. So yeah, it's been a while since we first met.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's crazy. So you recently got voted in to the city council. There was an open spot, and you recently got voted in. This spot is you're only gonna be in there for how long?
Until December. It's about 6 months, close to 6 months.
6 months.
Early December.
And the plan was for the person that held that spot was gonna be the next mayor. Is that gonna be still part of the plan, or what's the deal there?
You know what? That I haven't been briefed on that or privy to that information. I know that, as you know, the mayorship is on a rotational basis. So Mr. Hodge, it's completing his cycle. But I don't have, information as to what will be the rotation or who's coming up. But I know that we have great leadership at the council. So any one of the council members, we know that will do a wonderful job. So.
I also read that you're planning on running in these next elections in November. Was this something that you decided prior to being appointed to this position, or was it, once you were appointed, you're like, what, I'll go ahead and run again?
Well, you know what? I decided to run again the day after, the election back in 2018. Even though I came in last, uh, probably the numbers in the votes, in the tally of votes, but I felt that I came in first, because of the success that I had, measuring in the number of people that went out and gave me put their confidence in me and they're trusting me that I could do the job that they are expecting from a public servant, an elected official, someone that is going to work for them. So I felt that for a newcomer, I think back then we are talking about being a newcomer. Now I didn't consider myself a newcomer, but more of from a rookie. Now I'm kind of like my sophomore year, freshman from my sophomore. Yeah. So after that election, I felt that we had the momentum going, and not just because of me, but people reached out to me that day after the election. They said, hey, this is a learning experience. There were people giving me support and saying, you know what, it takes a couple of times, a few times before you go in, but just continue to build up on the success and go back to the things that probably you might want to work on. And, so that's what I have been doing, from that time now, and continue to be involved in the community.
Back then, the situation our city was in has drastically changed because of, this pandemic and there's obviously going to be budget cuts and all that. What are your plans on, how do you plan on affecting or helping the city of Calexico in these next 6 months that you'll be, part of the council?
It's interesting that you asked that, and that I have been actually following the effects of this pandemic and in different areas, and I'm part of different groups, local groups, the Imperial Valley Business Economic Recovery Task Force, and also through my job, I'm getting information on what's happening in the economy. But coming back to the local, aspect in Calexico, I'm also, I have to resign. I haven't resigned, but I have to resign from the commission, from the Economic Development and Finance Commission. And just about 3 weeks ago, we had a meeting because we were looking at the budget, and that was one of the things that I asked staff. How are we planning? Moving forward, with the pandemic, and the budget, and our projections, because a budget is a projection, it's a live document. It's not something that you put together now and then you're not going to go back and revisit. You constantly revisit because of things that happen. No one was planning on this pandemic. No one was prepared for this pandemic. But yet, when I asked the staff, I said, how are you doing your projections or your, projecting your expenditures? And, how we're going to be, how we're going to deal with this issue. It was, well, you know what, we have prepared, this budget, taking this into consideration, or, issues with the pandemic. But, something that they said, and, it's true that one of the things that Calexico has had, for the past years, so, is that we have gone through difficult situations, right? Financially and other things, that we're not going to go back, we're looking to the future, not to the past. But, we have been really actually able to make adjustments both in the fiscal area and so many areas also that come into this type of a situation. We're better prepared. We have been able to make adjustments. We have been able to, go back and look at our expenditures. We have gone and asked that, staff, they have taken cuts, and they have been so, embracing all of this. And they understand that this is not because of, anything else, but because there's a need. We have to make sure that we provide the services. And of course, there are times where, you have to make some decisions. But, like I told them also, one of the best, if not the best asset that we have is our people. Okay. So whether it's at City Hall or in our community, you have to make sure that you have, fully staffed, or at least people that can do the job. Maybe we have to wear a few more hats. Maybe we have to, take on the load of probably additional work. But again, it's just so we can get out of this. But again, previous experiences has make our city and our staff more resilient. So we're looking forward to this and getting out. So I think we have a good plan, and I know that we have a good plan.
Yeah, and it's crazy because I remember recently, the city employees that had gotten a raise because they had, like you said, they had contributed to like furloughs and pay cuts.
Yes.
And recently they had gotten this raise. So hopefully, this is not something that we need to live for a long time. What are your strengths is, employment and economic development? Cause I went back to and listened to the episode, and, you talked about, your 9 to 5, like your day-to-day job where you recruit, employment recruitment. That's what you do pretty much, right?
Part of it.
Yeah. And, now that, that we're in this, as it was, we weren't, our unemployment rate wasn't as low as it, is nationwide, but now it's taking another big hit. How do you feel that, the city, or what do you feel you can do as an elected official to kind of help, bring more employment to Calexico?
One of the things that I proposed back in 2018, and not just back in 2018, but even before getting into politics, what I did coming into the city, and this is what allowed me to get to know people, get to know businesses, business people. It was going now into the community, right? And talking face to face to them or with them, and listening to their needs, and tailoring some of the services that we offer through what I do from 8 to 5, for the workforce development in office. And I found out that, that's what really engages people, that the face-to-face, we have, lots of ways to reach out to people, but, we're still, in that, mode, which is not bad, again, doing the face-to-face contact. But one thing that I proposed was to go out into the community, talk to our business people, talk to our citizens, not just the business people, and listening, and not just listening, but taking their, suggestions, because, as a business person, you don't have the time to leave your business and go out and say, you know what, I'm going to go to City Hall. I'm going to reach out to my elected official. This is what I'm thinking. This is what I hope that I can get help with. So they're worried about, make sure that their business is running and making, ends meet, for that matter, so, but if we go to them, and I know that in other cities, has been done and is being done. And I know for a fact, because I used to get calls from other city representatives and says, I used to say, well, there's such and such that needs assistance with recruitment. They want to hire people. So I want to go out, I want to go out, not just right now, but this is something that I want to have, for us to go out and visit, our local businesses, our citizens, not just wait for them to come to us. There are a lot of ways that we can help. There's a lot of incentives. I know that now going through this pandemic, there's a lot of help coming out, from the federal government, the state, and we just have to make sure that they know about this, that they know how to navigate this process. Sometimes, they think it's too cumbersome, but it's not. It's just that, again, we go back to just them doing what they do, trying to be successful, trying to stay afloat, trying to meet payroll. So again, that expert or staff that can help with that needs to be there. The elected official needs to be there. So bring that expert. So I plan to, go out, reach out to them. And I know that there's some council members already that love that idea. I know we're limited in staff, but it doesn't have to be a staff all the time. The elected official, has to do some of that too.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes there's like, I spoke to Meredith Garcia. She's from the
SBDC, the Small Business Development.
And she actually asked me to make sure to promote it to people who are in Calexico. A lot of people she doesn't have a lot of people from Calexico that go and visit her office. And she wants to have more involvement with the city of Calexico, especially with the small business owners here in Calexico. Something that I was talking to a friend last night and yesterday, and the day prior was drive-through graduation for Calexico High School. And something that we were talking about, me and my friend, was, shout out to my friend Emilio. We're talking about the lack of employment, or I don't know if it's a lack or just our youth aren't really wanting to have these jobs. I feel that not a lot of our local youths are like out in the workforce. Like before, you would I remember like going to a Jack or McDonald's and seeing my friends at the drive-through, and now it's like I don't really see our local. Do you feel that it's because they just they don't want these jobs, or what do you think that's?
Well, first of all, thank you, Jose, for reminding me. It's not that I was forgetting about this, but it's really important that also to send a shout out to all the seniors that just graduated from Calexico High. I mean, my hats off to them. That they have gone through really difficult 3-4 months. And everyone actually, for that matter, the student population here in Calexico and throughout the county also. But it was so great to see. I also kind of like drove around, when they were having the celebration. And it was so nice. It was so, encouraging to see. So, happy, and I think I'm glad that they decided to do that. But that's point aside, to what you were asking. But I just wanted to make sure that I quiz in this. My congratulations to all of them and the parents. So wonderful job. But anyway, getting back to your question, you know what? That's something that also in workforce. We talk about a lot, and this is the high unemployment rate of youth. It's not just a local issue. We understand that we have a high unemployment here that Prior County. I know, especially now, that actually almost has doubled. It is about 27.6% right now. Just came out a couple of days ago, the numbers, the latest stats. And but the youth actually has been one of that sectors of part of our population that have suffered the most, and it has been for quite a while already, that they have had the highest unemployment throughout the nation. And you're correct that and I remember also back in my days, the jobs at the fast food restaurants, maybe retail even, were taken by youth, or were being occupied by youth. Now you go to a lot of these establishments and you see adults, and that's unfortunately here. We say that it's a reality because any job is a job in someone, providing, right? So, but usually here locally, what I always say too, based on the experience that I have had doing what I do, that this is an employer's market, meaning that, whenever there's an opportunity for employment, for one job, you have literally sometimes, hundreds of people, available to do that job. So an employer can pick and choose, or can actually find someone that meets, exactly that, probably the skill sets that they're looking for. But yeah, it is a problem. It is something that worries me also. But, one of the things that, we do also, we do have some youth programs, that provide them with, work experience opportunities. Recently we were talking also with, my wife and other people that are in education, that, perhaps, something that we can do is also mentoring, even though it's not employment, and maybe there might not be a financial, compensation for this youth, or stipend, of sort of, for their time that they're put in. But I do believe that, mentoring also, work experience, community service really adds to the experience that maybe they're not getting by getting into the workforce. So we need to work on that, and not just to solve this issue, that the high unemployment for the youth, but for the entire, population. And it goes back to, again, a lot of things that have to come into place with the government, with the city government, county, state, and educational system. But that's a more broad and bigger picture that I'm painting to you. But yes, I think, we need to make sure that all of us get together, put a plan, work towards at least providing the youth with experience that is going to be valuable also, and that it's going to be able to help them get into a good, school. Because nowadays, we're seeing also in the academic area that the students now, they're in the 4.6, 4.8.
Yeah, I saw a kid that had
and
a
it's becoming the
5.0.
norm. Yeah, yeah, and it's becoming the norm. It becomes a competitive, and that's great. But we have to make sure that also they have that the hands-on, they have the exposure to, careers or work environments where they might want to be in, or professionally, kind of like work in the future. So a lot of ways, I know that we're not gonna, do away with unemployment, anytime soon, for the youth or for everyone, but putting things in place, working with, county, working with the state, with all these different programs that exist that provide hands-on experience, hands-on, opportunities, and maybe some stipend, some compensation. So any type of work, maybe can help, or it will help, get them ahead and be ready for the labor market, when they get ready, because it's just a few years after high school, 4 or 5 years after that. So
Yeah, because I was talking to Assembly Member Garcia, and I mentioned to him the fact that we have a lot of people that can't afford homes here or rent, because California has, the cost of living, especially to home ownership, is really high. And one of his, I asked him, like, what can we do to like kind of bring down the cost of living, but his answer was, maybe we should think of the way where we get better paying jobs down here. But yeah, it's kind of hard sometimes when these kids go out and they go to school and they prepare for, a high paying job. Yeah, it's obviously hard for them to come back here, and there's none of these jobs where they get, the compensation they want to get because of the schooling they went and got, the preparedness. And yeah, it's and in reality, I don't think that that's a good way to kind of like bring down the cost of living. Maybe we should be offering more affordable housing down here in the valley for some of these people that can't afford it. But that's another topic.
But you know what, on that, Jose, also, it is true to, the fact that, how do you attract investment? How do you attract, industry, high paying job, high skill, high wage, high skill, high wage job,
Mm-hmm.
So you need to have the workforce who is going to be there to meet the demands of that type of industry, right? So again, this is something that we discuss often, at the workforce, level or groups, and then also, when you discuss it, you have to bring people to the table also that also have the ability to contribute and make sure that we're preparing our future workforce so we can attract that industry, and it is true, if you don't have the workforce, how are you going to bring industry? If you don't have enough people that can provide the workforce, chances are that we're not going to have the industry. But it's not just the workforce also, it's also other things. When you prepare a packet for business attraction to go out there and attract industry, attract investment, you have to have a packet, literally, which area, which city, which the county, like as an example that you're promoting, or Imperial County. You take all these things with you. What is it that we have? What can we offer to all this industry, all this investment or potential investors? What will incentivize someone to come down here, invest, and maybe even bring their families, right? Mm-hmm. So how can we do that? Well, we have to have a lot of things in place. Do we have entertainment, options? Do we have the schools? Do we have the healthcare facilities? Do we have, everything else that comes with the, you coming over here? And I got to tell you, we do have a lot of pluses here. We do have, lots of resources. You're talking about water. You're talking about land. You talk about affordable energy rates. All of that. It's great, and it's the basis of investment. Having access to expand or just to build to suit. So that is there.
Yeah.
But now we got to talk about the workforce side. The human element that who's going to be there to fill those vacancies, right? So we got to talk to IBC. We got to talk to San Diego State. We got to talk to even our local school districts. And I know that they're doing a wonderful job. In different areas. They're doing a wonderful job on the CTE. Something that kind of like just not changed, but kind of like adjusted my frame of thinking. Before, years ago, it was telling your kids or the young people, you got to go to school, get a degree. That's the way that you're going to make it. And it still is true. But, now also you have the option to say, well, if college is not, for you, we know that not all of us are college bound material, maybe, but there's some wonderful opportunities in CTE also that sometimes, can even have them make more money. So in all of those jobs, all of those opportunities will help, diversify our workforce, will help, us make ourselves more attractive for industry. If we want to attract, a high-tech industry, I don't know, someone that can come here and, look into, I don't know, building some sort of, manufacturing, all this new technology, with transportation, that requires a lot of technology and very little maybe hands-on or working on engines. Now is a lot of electrical, a lot of technology that the new cars that are coming out, for example, it's not the same technology. It's more, as we used to know. Now it's more plug in your computer and your the scanner and find out what's going on, what's wrong. Yeah. So all of these things that are coming out, we need to make sure that, kids are getting interested in that people are transitioning to that our workforce that is ready now, that is in the age of being employed. We have to make sure that we also have opportunities for them. And also remember that, for the longest time, we have been a rural, ag-based community, agricultural-based community. And that is continued to be, to an extent, the truth, but it's not the number one industry anymore. As I shared with you on our first interview, the industry that employs the most is government, which is services, right? So we need to generate or have more industry where it has a bigger impact, generates and it creates more jobs, where the dollar is multiplying more or goes, around our communities, more times around. So it's a way of generating and staying local and creating more revenues for our city and our cities and our county.
Yeah, I think now, especially with this pandemic, it kind of showed us how important it is to try to keep our dollars local, help each other out in that sense, where when it comes to like economic, buying stuff locally, making sure that our dollars are, like you said, staying here as much as possible, buying from a local grocery store or local restaurants. And yeah, it's especially, like I said, it's brought it to the forefront now with this pandemic because, we're seeing a lot of our local small businesses, having a hard time staying afloat, struggling because of, having to close down. And obviously like big stores like Walmart or Target or Costco are profiting from this. So like, yeah, we got to make sure that, we support local. Going from, you're going to be here 6 months and then you're going to hopefully run again. I know that there's, I think 4 spots open, right?
Correct.
Well, that are going to open up in November or December. And I guess one of them is a 2-year term.
Yes, actually, well, election will be in November. And it is my understanding that the process to apply and get your documentation ready to run. It's next month, middle of next month, July. So anybody out there that wants to get into public life and help in our city, are more than welcome. Just like me, that always had that and have that kind of like just desire and just the good vibe of just helping our community. It's welcome, and I encourage people to go out there and be part of it. We need help. We need people who want to be there, who have a passion to serve. So again, that will be around mid-July that will open up to submit your documentation and do what you need to do. And election will be in November. So, they will get sworn in on whoever gets elected in December. So, again, this opportunity I'm giving right now, and that was entrusted by the council members, through the people or the citizens that they represent in Calexico, and that I will be representing what I'm representing. I'm actually humbled by that opportunity, and this is the time that I've been an opportunity I've been wanting to have. I know that it's not a long time, but I'm gonna run, as I stated, because I know there are a lot of things to be done, and there are a lot of ideas, and not just ideas that will become reality. I have had a chance to talk to a lot of people, some council members also, about what I'm hoping that we can work on, as soon as we, I go in and we can get together and start working on that. I know that what we have, going on right now, it really is really worrisome, but nonetheless, we're going to get out of this. We're going to get out of stronger, as we have done it many times. So, and if you want to jump in, Jose, welcome.
Nah, no, not yet. I've thought about it, but I don't know, not yet. Something that I remember from our last conversation was, and I kind of feel like a little bit dumb and naive, was the fact that, I mentioned over and over, not only with you, but, other candidates that I interviewed, was that, at the end of the day, you're just one vote. But certain circumstances that happened recently kind of showed me that being a city council member is not only, somebody that's sitting in a meeting and voting for something. Kind of show me that this person that's being elected, that's in this position, has more power than I really thought. I mean, I don't know other people, but I really thought, oh, you're only just one vote. But in reality, the situation really opened my eyes to the fact that, there's way more that this person who we are voting in can do. And it's kind of like, it's a little bit scary. And I'm sure that this is not the first time that something like this has happened, but in recent memory, like at least for me, that since the time that I've been involved, especially that situations where like this one, where it was like so blatant and so out there, it's kind of like, it's a little bit scary how much power or pull somebody in this position has. Like Uncle Ben from Spider-Man says, with great power comes great responsibility, right?
True. And you know what? I shared this with you before the show, that at least the way that I see it, and that I understand and I plan to conduct myself, this is not about me. And this is something that I've repeated many times, and I have said it, not just repeat it, but that's the way that I live my life also. When it comes to public service, I'm a public servant, to some extent. I work for the public, and in a job that is paid by the taxpayers. So again, I work for the taxpayer. In this case, I'm going to be working for the citizens of Calexico. Yes, you have that power. That power has been entrusted to you by the people and for the people and by, and everything else. But this is not about you. This is about them. And when you go there, right, when you go and you're going to make a decision, your job is to make sure that, you get informed, you ask, you do your due diligence, you do your research, you look at the facts, and you look at, how these decisions or decisions that you take or that you're part of it, right, are going to affect, the whole rather than one. This is not about Camilo Garcia. This is not about, a particular individual. This is about the entire community, citizens of Calexico. And I think that, any public servant knows that or should know that and should be aware of that. This is not just to be popular. This is not to, play it safe, because, there are going to be challenges. There are going to be decisions that you're going to have to make, and not probably going to be the most popular one. So not going to make you the most popular with certain people, individuals. But again, you have to look at the benefit of the whole, not just one. And that's what I see. That's what I would do. That I will do my due diligence. I will do my research. I will ask, I will listen, and in my posting that I put in social media and Facebook, after, this disappointment, I was thanking individuals, and I also told them, I'm open to your suggestions, your comment, your ideas, concerns, and all of that. And yes, probably they're going to say, or many people say, maybe, if they didn't write it down, say, well, I'm supposed to know what is needed. Yes, and I know a lot of things that are needed, but I don't know every need, right? So that's why it's important. There is a lot of, there's feedback and you have different, needs, different interests. One will be in recreation parks, other will be in arts and reg, public works, everything else. So you have different people that care or are passionate about different things, and all of those are great. And all of that, comes together for the same thing that we have been talking about, making our city better and more attractive, more livable. And one of the things that I have said, that I'm going in with the idea and with the premise of making a better living for the citizens of Calexico, because as I said it before, I'm here, my family's here, and what I want for my family, what I do for my family, that's what I want for the citizens of Calexico, and that's what I want to do for the citizens of Calexico. So again, this is no different than what I would do on my personal, or what I will would like to accomplish on my personal level. And yes, I do want everyone to benefit from this. The youth, our younger kids, in school, make sure that they get ready to continue their education, to go out there and be our future, workforce. Our youth that are going to college now, make sure that they hopefully have a chance to come back soon, and they're coming back to those jobs that we have been talking about. And that is a long-term goal, but nonetheless, it's there. We're going to work on that. And it's not just me, it's going to be a group, and then you have also the senior citizens, that have been a part of, a board that, that looks into the issues that they have, whether it's housing, whether it's access to transportation, healthcare, all these things, that, the different populations or sectors of our populations have a need. So it's looking at all of that, it's looking at the needs, looking as to how can you improve their quality of life. And that's what encompasses when I say, well, let's improve the quality of life of our city. And that's encompassing all of the different populations and sectors in our population.
Yeah, and I know that, from the community work you do with you and your family, you get to sometimes see those people that are the most in need, especially, with the work your wife does. She's always, helping those people that are less fortunate or in need here in the community. Kind of, it assures me that you know where those needs are. Um, something that we spoke about in our first interview was that saying the only in Calexico, saying, and how we were trying to make it a positive thing, and and recently it's become that negative thing once again. Um, where do you see our city in 5 years? Where do you see Calexico? Is it gonna be? Are they gonna be talking about only in Calexico because something positive we're doing, or is it where are we in 5 years?
You know what? I know that Calexico, the only Calexico, has been there for a while, way, way before my time, and that's our pride. Recently I was doing another interview, and someone said, well, Mister New Jersey, right? That was years ago, right? Now I'm a Calexico resident. Probably, hopefully, one day I'll be Mr. Calexico, instead of Mr. New Jersey, But going back to the pride, I think the Viva Calexico and the only Calexico, right? It is powerful. It's an identity that all of us have. Whether you were born here or you're a transplant. But to me, the day that you get here, you're a Calexican. That's how I felt, and that's how I feel. That's how I felt, almost 20 years ago, and that's how I feel now. Now that I have put my roots here, and that I have become part of the community. So I know that in 5 years from now, only Calexico will be again something that we'll be proud of, something that we're going to be able to not just say only Calexico. It's like, why only Calexico, right? Why not us also, right? So again, and that will be part of the evolution. And it's not that I want to change, what has been there, because where you have so many, rich history and traditions and people that have come before us and have done wonderful things for our city. So, and that was a time back then, and now it's the reality. So, but we have to make our own, we have to leave our own footprint, right? They did that for us. Going back to our, pioneers, going back to the one that actually funded this valley, right? And then whoever came after them, and they left their mark also. And what mark are we leaving? Now us. So it is up to us. It is up to us. Us in the leadership position as you elected officials, as someone that you're entrusted to represent you. We're gonna lead, but also we expect for us for the citizens to also contribute to make that, why only Calexico? That other areas can actually say, why only Calexico? Because we're going to be doing, great things, and that's the way that I see the city. That's the way that I see my city now. Why? Because again, going back, I want to make sure that my kids, have a wonderful time here, that your kids, have a wonderful time here, and everybody else's, I know there's a long road ahead, and it's going to be bumpy, but that is part of the learning process. I think if we didn't have those experiences, then I think we wouldn't be able to be successful, because we learn from experiences. So again, 5 years from now, it will be, why only in Calexico?
Yeah.
So,
that's good. Camilo, anything that I didn't ask you that you would like to talk about or bring up?
well, again, I just want to make sure that again, I want to thank my family, of course. My family has been there, with me and for me, throughout this process, and they continue to be, and I know that they will be moving forward. Also, my friends, my supporters, the citizens of Calexico that have expressed their, just happiness, for me, being here, for them, and that I plan to work for them, and not plan, but I'm going to work for them, and I welcome their suggestions, their input. I'm here for them. I want to make a difference. We will make a difference, and it will be for everyone. There will be no exceptions. Anybody's welcome, and everybody's welcome, and we want to welcome whoever is thinking about coming to our city and contribute to what we are going to be doing and we're doing here now. We're just starting, and I know we're going through a difficult time right now, but we will get out of this and we will be stronger than ever. I want to wish, everyone a safe, and happy holiday coming up, tomorrow, Father's Day. Be safe, exercise, caution and follow the guidelines of, our local, health authorities and the CDC. I know we have our views on things and even on this, but, let's just be responsible in whichever side of that, topic you stand. I think, together we can make the difference, and we're going to make the difference and get back to normal, whatever that normal or however that normalcy is going to be, that eventually we'll go back to, how we used to be before this. I don't know how long it will take, but, we'll get there. I'm very confident we'll get there. So just be patient. And, someone else said, there will be time for hugs, in the future. But for now, we might not want to do that yet.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, something that I was talking to my friend last night as well. Shout out to Emilio again. We're talking to the fact that it's kind of hard to find politicians or people who are elected that aren't in it for personal gain or somebody else's gain. And it's not an endorsement for the next coming election, but just from knowing you and knowing your family and knowing the work you do in the community. And sometimes it goes without any publicity. You guys do a lot that people might not know that you guys do, you and your wife and your guys' family. I feel that, I mean, at least for me, I trust that you're in it for the community. I know that any decision you make, it's based on what's the best for the community. And I wish you the best in these 6 months. And I wish you the best in the upcoming elections in November. Like I said, I know that you're in it, for the community. And it's something that I mean, I'm not saying that our current board is in it for themselves. They're doing a great job. But nowadays it's kind of hard to find people that are doing stuff for the community. And sometimes, like I said, not looking for any recognition. And that's something that you and your wife are always doing. And I really appreciate it. And I know, and I feel that you're going to do a great job in these 6 months. And I hope to see you there in the future as well. So thank you. Thank you for this time. Happy Father's Day. Say hi to your wife. You guys take care. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Jose.
All right, guys. Thank you guys for listening. And we'll see you in the next episode. Peace.